Hello, my name is Steve McCoy-Thompson, and I am a resident of California, happily married, have 2 children, adults who are gainfully employed, which means either we or the school system did something right. And I have been blessed to have worked all around the world in over 50 countries, lived in India and China and in Togo, West Africa, and with both big business and with nonprofit organizations. And through that, I really have developed an appreciation for different perspectives, and including different perspectives on faith, which is what we want to talk about today. So I've come to believe that faith is a journey, and we need to respect that people are at different moments, different points along that journey, and help them to continue along that journey. Whereas sometimes religions will present their faith as a destination, and there is truth in that, right? The religion in many ways is there to help continue the person's faith journey toward a closer relationship with God. That's the destination. But sometimes the destination can seem so daunting or maybe rigid that people are afraid to start the journey at all. And that's a shame. And I'll tell you, I know this from personal experience because I've been through this. So I was raised really without faith. My mom, I was raised as a Catholic, and she left that faith because she found it to be manipulative. My dad was raised as a Southern Baptist. In fact, I know this from my own personal experience. I went through my own journey. It was a very challenging process for me, but ultimately extremely fulfilling. I was raised without faith. My mother was raised as a Catholic, and she left that faith because she found the religion to be manipulative. And my father was raised as a Southern Baptist, and he left it because he found, in many ways, that he found it to be stifling. And in fact, when they got married, his parents would not go to the Catholic wedding because they didn't want to sanction this marriage into this strange and foreign faith. So I was raised with great skepticism, but I always had a high spirituality. My first faith, I suppose, is through Star Wars and the idea of the Force. Like I felt like there was some force out there, but I could not define it. And I studied different religions. You know, I practiced Buddhism for a short time. I dabbled in other faiths. And then ultimately, as you might imagine, I married a Catholic. And I started going to church with her. And I really appreciated the idea of being within this faith community, that every week people would gather together and ask the big questions in life. And then we had our 2 children, and they were baptized as Catholic because I committed to helping to raise them as Catholics, even though I was not. And I found myself suddenly surrounded by Catholics. So I realized, and I think this is an important point about the journey, that I realized that I had to make a choice. That this was too important a question to be ambivalent about. Like I'm either going to believe in God or I'm not. And I disagree with, but I respect people who have made the decision that they don't believe in God. I disagree with them, but at least they're making the choice to explore faith and make a decision about it. So what I did is I went through this program that the Catholic Church offers, which is called RCIA, Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults. And it's a year-long process where you meet every week with a group of people, with some guides, and you ask and you try to answer some of the fundamental questions in life. And so that in itself was a journey. And I really appreciated the fact that we were allowed to get off that journey if we wanted to. And so I wasn't being handcuffed, and I wasn't being whipped forward. It was a journey of discovery. And so I went through that process. It was challenging. I had conversations with my parents about what I was doing. I had conversations with my siblings about what I was doing. In fact, I even wrote a book about the process. I used this thing in the Catholic or the Christian faith, which is called the Nicene Creed, which is you say this most weeks during Mass about what you believe. And I use that framework to try to ask and answer a lot of questions that I had. So I use that framework in the book. It's called RCIA Journey. Find it on Amazon. It really forced me to look at these hard questions. And through that, and this is really an interesting part, is that when I was about to commit at the end of this year-long journey and be confirmed in this particular faith, I felt like I had most of the question answered, but not all of them. And there was a moment where I felt like I cannot go through with this unless I have all things answered. And I had this mental image in my head of a vase. And I remember sitting in the car with my wife before we were going to go into the church to sign this book of the elect, which is really kind of making a commitment that you're going to go forward into this conversion process. And she was almost in tears because she was very open to whether or not I'd be joined or not, which was wonderful, but just seeing my struggle was hard for her as well. And in this mental image I had of the vase, I had this picture of the vase somehow cracking on its own and water flowing out of the vase over me. And it was really almost like this God moment that even after you make a commitment towards a faith, that the journey doesn't stop, the journey continues, and that you're going to be exploring one's faith throughout. And so that image of a flawed vase reflecting my own deep flaws allowed me to go forward in the faith journey. And through having made that conversion, it's changed my life. But I also very much respect the different faith groups. I've come to believe that God is almost like a light inside a prism, or if you will, like a light inside a disco ball, where people who are looking at that prism or the disco ball from different aspects of the room are going to see a slightly different manifestation of the centrality and the truth of God. And so we need to respect that different faith groups are going to be presenting slightly different images of God. One thing that the many faiths teach, including the Catholic faith, is that we ultimately cannot know the will of God. We have beliefs in it, but what God chooses to do in each individual, that's up to God. And so we respect that, and we respect that people may have different journeys towards this faith. And Catholics and Christians and Muslims and Hindus strongly believe that their faith is the correct way to go. And I respect that. I think that we all need to respect that. But really celebrate the journey that recognizing, as I had to recognize when I felt like I was surrounded by Catholics, I had to make a choice in my faith, that I had to get on the journey. I had what I called at that time, I had to get down off the spiritual fence. and get on one side or the other. Just making that choice to enter into a faith journey has it's changed my life. And I just simply encourage people who are struggling with faith or feel like maybe there's something missing in their life, they think there might be something more to life, start the process. There's a great quote by the German philosopher Goethe about boldness. And basically the idea is that if you take a step forward towards something, towards whatever goal that is, then doors are going to open up to you that would not have been available, that would not have been possible if you had not taken that first step. And that's, he calls that the magic of boldness. And faith takes courage. And getting on that faith journey, I think, does take courage. And so if you are steeped in a faith that you have, that is beautiful. And I applaud you, and I encourage you to continue that faith journey. And at the same time, recommend or recognize that other people are at different phases in a faith journey. One person told me recently that, it's almost like being in different classrooms and different levels of teachers. And sometimes people need different teachers at different levels of their faith journey. And we need to encourage them going forward. So that's my experience with faith. It's changed my life. It's not been an easy journey, but it's been a profound journey. And I just simply celebrate and encourage people who are in part, want to take that step and explore their own spirituality. So thank you very much for being part of this talk and this journey. And I wish you well. Godspeed.
If you want to talk about anything at all, then you know who to call. Just tell Sanj. Tell Sanj, tell Sanj, tell Sanj, just tell Sanj.